morning, everyone. Meanwhile, anyone has any questions?
What all services will this course be covering in AWS?
Okay. So I had shared one link, so I'll also share it again. Let me show you. Okay. Let me know once you can see.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So in AWS, right? In AWS, we have services like, okay, these are all the services which we are going to talk about. So we have the IAM, AWS CLI, EC2, S3, databases in AWS, Athena, Redshift, EMR, and Glue. Shall we start?
Yeah, Bipul, like before we start,
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure, sure.
As I told you that this is my first class. So
Hmm.
let's say this um, AWS which we are learning here along with uh, Snowflake. So
Yeah.
whatever topics we are learning in regards to AWS here, is that the sufficient to call as a data
Yes.
engineer, right? In
Yes. Yeah,
AWS.
these are all your data analyst here. You have Athena, Redshift, EMR, Glue. So these are the most important topics which we are going to cover. Like for a data engineering in AWS, these are the most important things. I mean, these are the things where you can actually build data pipelines, right? You can store your data, you can build data pipelines, you can play with the big data or streaming data. So all these things we will see here.
Okay, and we can also apply as a Snowflake developer
Yeah.
after learning this course.
Yes, of course, of course. That is why we are having these multiple. You can also like, yeah, you can also go with the DBTs, DBT developers as well, right? So now let's say right now we have a static starting point where we are doing everything. And now based on your interest, you can also go in a specific direction as well. It is not a mandate for us to find a job which cover all the tools and technologies which we are having. You can also go in a specific direction which interests you, right? So maybe let's say if I'm having these sessions, it could be possible that I didn't like AWS at all. Let's say I didn't like a particular thing, although it is a part
Mhm.
of the course, but I have to do it. But it's not a mandate. Then when I'm applying for a data analyst, I should know all these things, right? So there are people. I have also given some interviews which needed DBT developer or Snowflake with
Okay.
DBT. Snowflake with DBT and let's say PySpark. So there is also a lot of mix and match which is going on in the market. Okay. So don't worry. If you understand the topic, let's say if you didn't like a specific topic, that is also fine. Okay. So the main objective of this entire session is to understand how different things fit together, how they work together, and then choosing your path. Just in case if something you didn't like a specific technology. Let's say if I'm a person who do not like writing SQL queries, right? I can go with the Python course. I can go with Python and let's say uh, this DBT is also based on a little bit on Python. I have Snowpark where I write Python queries. I have AWS where I can also go with the Python queries, right? So in that case, I let's say I do not even want to go into Snowflake data warehouse architecture and then going into SQL query. So it is good if you know all these things, but it is not like mandate that we should know all these things. Okay, I hope I'm making a point here.
Yes, but
Okay, okay. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so now let's talk about it, the introduction to SQL. Okay, so SQL is going to be very, very important for all of us. For most of us who want to go into SQL, there is a word where you can do the same things in Python. So SQL is not like the end of the word, but still, this is a lot of, I mean, this holds a lot of importance when you are playing with the data. Okay. So let's get started. Okay. So now very first thing which we want to discuss right now, we had seen that as a ETL developer or as a data engineer, you will be bringing a lot of data from multiple places, right? We said that, okay, let me bring out that slide as well, PPT as well. So now over here, we said that to understand the customer behavior, to understand what a customer likes, what a customer does not like, what a customer loves to do, what a customer usually do on their weekdays or weekends, let's say. Okay. For that, I need to bring data from multiple places, right? So just as we started the session, let's say I want to know what we generally do on weekends. For that, I have to ask everyone, right? What you did on a weekend? Okay, was it good or bad? Where do you live? So based on your demographics, I will okay note what is your profession? What did you do? Where do you live, whether your family live with you or not. So based on that, I will gather different amount of data from multiple set of people, right? So right now the audience is very limited, right? So based on, let's say if we are 10 people in this group, so see, you can say that if the number of people whom I am asking all these question is very limited, then the results which I am going to get may not be generalized, right? So over here, you can see that the answer which I will get or the analysis which I will have will not make much sense in a broader perspective. I cannot generalize that information, right? But okay, if I'm just talking about 10 of us, let's say from 10 of us, 5 people had a very good weekend and 5 people didn't had a very good weekend, then we can say for about us, for this group of people or this set of people, that the weekend was 50% good or 50% bad, right? So that is why we need to also gather data from multiple sources, as many sources as possible, so that we can generalize our data or our result set, or we can also be confident about what analysis we have done, right? So that is why we were bringing data from multiple source system. We were bringing data from Google, from Instagram, Meta, Amazon, WhatsApp, and what lot, as many sources as possible, right? So this is one aspect which we talked about in the very beginning. Now, okay, so I have gathered the data from lot of people and then I'm getting it in one place, and we talked about we will extract the data from multiple source system, we will transform the data, and then finally we will load it into a system, right? So load, we will come back. So now we are now focusing on this load part. Okay. So we are going to load all the information which we have gathered into one place. Before that, can someone tell me which desk you really want to have? Which kind of office desk you really want to have? Is it the left one or the right one? And why?
Uh, Right one.
Okay, why?
Because it is properly organized.
Yes, Mahalakshmi. Yeah, I thought you were on mute.
Yeah, I'm coming to say the same one.
Okay. Any other answer why? I mean, okay, that's organized. But why it is organized? Why do we organize things in first place?
To fetch
Uh,
in
s-
time.
Uh-huh.
we organize things to save some time on, and whenever we require something to get, like we know where we have kept, so we can uh, take it out from there.
Okay. But I am going to spend time to also organize these things, right? But I am not saving time, right?
It's
We
easily
are saving
Uh,
place.
easy to
Uh-huh.
search
yeah,
things.
you're right, Vipul, that you're also
Uh-huh.
investing your time to organize it. But at
Uh-huh.
least you are aware, like while investing your time, you know where you are keeping your things, stuffs.
Right.
But here in
Right.
messy place, you're not investing your time to organize, but you
Mm-hmm.
also don't know what things are, you have kept where.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's great. Thank you, Vijay. Okay. So now let us look at pictures one by one. Okay. Let's focus on what is going on. Okay. Okay. So now over here in the very first picture, you can say that I am not doing any organization. So there is no, I don't know where something is, right? So now if let's say my friend comes to my or my co-worker comes to my desk and he says that, hey, do you know where did you put my page? I gave you one page yesterday. So I look here, I will look here, I will look here, I will look here, in this file, I will look here in the, I mean, garbage. Okay, looks like a garbage. And it also makes me look like a fool that I cannot even handle a single page, right? So and then let's say we have a I mean, you can say that, okay, we blame others, right? So I'll blame my friend. You are not doing good with me. Who asked for a papers in like very urgently? Who says like that? So, but deep down, I know that I'm wrong, right? So then what I do is that next day I spend time, I manage everything, I put everything in place, and then now even I also feel very good about this place, right? So now there was one more comment which I heard is that I'm saving space. So here you can see that I'm saving a lot of space as well. The objects which were there all scattered around, now they are put in place very nicely. And I also have extra space to put the additional information if I want. If there is any urgent paper, now I have a place to put my smartphone, to put my car keys, and a lot of additional things as well, right? Which previously was not possible, right? Okay. And here we have seen that the organization of information or reorganization, although takes time, agree, but then it is going to be very beneficial to search the things faster from the next time onwards. Over here, although we are not spending any time in organization, but to search, I have to put a lot of efforts every time. Okay. So now there are two things over here. So let me come. Where is this? Yep. Okay. So now we are saying that we have a lot of data generated, right? So lot of data not generated but collected. Okay. So as a data engineer, I collected data from thousands of people and asked them how was your weekend, what you did, where all you did, where did you went, how was your experience? Was it good, bad, average? I collected all that information and then I have to make it very nicely managed in some place, because if you have a lot of data generated and you just pile it up, right, just like a dustbin or a heap of, you can say that, a garbage, it is not going to make any sense. So that is why the data which we have collected has to be managed properly, meaning that we can search faster, we can store optimally, right? So this is very, very important things, because these are the things which we want to do with the database, so that our database or any data storage option is going to help us to search the data faster. I am also writing all this information over here, right? So here you can see that there are a lot of information in this sheet. So what if I have this information and I place this information inside of this box? Or if I take this column and if I place this column over here. So here you can see that although I will have a lot of information in this Excel sheet, but it will not make any sense to the person who is viewing it, who is going to extract some information out of here, or who is going to use this space. So if I had this much space only, and if I write everything like on the new line every time and I fill this column, I write this column over here, I write this column over here, and what the next person will do, that person will not have any place to do anything. For example, if I want to manage this data, I can also place it like this. I can then take this information and then I can place it over here. And then this way I can make things easier, easily readable, as well as I am also creating new space for new information to be kept, right? So these two goals are going to be very, very important as a data engineers. We are just not going to bring the data. We have to make sure that whatever information we have just collected, that can be sorted faster or that can be searched faster, and then we also have to make sure that it is stored optimally. If you get these two things, then you can also work on a lot of things. There are a lot of techniques using which you can do the first thing, and a lot of techniques using which you can do the second thing. When we will go to databases deep dive or data warehouses, even if you talk about Snowflake data warehouse, in the Snowflake data warehouse, there is a lot of data which is sitting there. So these are also going to be the goal of me as a data engineer. I should be able to search things faster. I should be able to store things optimally, because there is a lot of data. You can think like in your room you have a lot of things, right? Then what we do is that we do the same things, right? So this is what I typically say, that we consciously or consciously are doing these things, you just have to recognize that, oh, okay, we do this, and then applying those things to the data field. Right now, this option where we started from, here we had a lot of items, but then each item you can think of it to be a data. Okay, so here your data is scattered, your data is kept is unmanaged, your data is not optimally stored. So that is why this is something which you should never focus on. Your goal should be all the data is managed properly, all the data is in right place, all the data can be searched faster. So all these techniques we will also talk about in the databases and the data warehouse aspects. Okay. Okay, let's now go to the other thing. Why do we need a database? Okay, so database is nothing. So here you can see that a data, so it start with data. So it is a place, or it is a software, or I mean, you can say anything, a place where you can put your data. We have understood as a data engineer, we will collect data, we will extract it, we will transform it, and then we will put it, or we will load it into a database. So a database can store, so I'll just say one by one. So the very first point is databases can store very large number of records efficiently. Why do we want to store this information efficiently? So that we can search them faster. So that is stored optimally. We are not unnecessarily putting a lot of information. We want to search it in a compressed manner. Everyone knows about this zip compressor. So let's say I have all these files, right? So now these files are taking some space. So here you can see that. Now we have an application called as zip. So here you can, everyone, I mean, not everyone, but most of us should have used this option, compress to zip file. So what
Just
it
before.
does is that, yeah, so it will take all the files and it will create a single file out of it. Okay. So don't go by these things, okay, which are going inside. Okay. So over here, what you have just done is that multiple files which I had, I created a single file, and that single file, first of all, takes all these, so it's like a folder, right? So in a folder you have put all the different files, and not just that, it is also taking less space as compared to these different items. It has been zipped, it has been compressed. So this thing we will also see. Storing optimally is also saying that compressing the the data. Let's say if there is a file of 1 MB, and I have, let's say, 1000 files like that, or maybe 1024 files like that, then the data is clearly 1 GB total. If you multiply 1 MB with 1024, you get 1 MB, 1024 MB, which is equal to 1 GB. There are techniques which I can use to store this information less than 1 GB, for example, 500 MB as well. So here you can see that I can so save lot of space in this aspect as well. Okay, so you can see that over here I am not just storing the data optimally, I am also compressing it so that I am saving the unnecessary wasted space as well, which I was doing previously. So this figure is going to be very helpful to you in the long run when we are going to talk about any database. Okay. So a database we
Hi,
have
Vipul.
understood. Yeah.
Vipul, I have a question.
Yeah,
I
Manish.
have two things actually. So one
Okay.
thing is that what is the difference between file system versus the database management
Uh-huh.
system?
Okay.
And the other thing is that do we store the in database? Do we store the data in files or in a form of tables? And what's the
Okay.
difference?
Sure, sure, sure. So, if you want to actually understand how your database works, in the end, it is all data files. Okay. So, if you know about these databases, so first of all, so first of all, let us talk about a database. Okay. So, your database, no, no, okay. So, now your database is an application. Okay. So maybe let's first of all go with the flow, and then you will understand these things. Okay. So maybe I don't want to jump into things. Okay. So okay. So let's go ahead with this flow. So in the end, you will come to know the answer, and if you do not get the answer, let me know. Okay. Okay. So this is like jumping the ships, right? Okay. So now, databases can store very large number of records very efficiently. We will see what these databases do. Okay. Then we have an information interfaces to data. So now we will say that the databases are an interface to data. Let's say there is a lot of data being stored in the database. Okay, so let's say there is a lot of data, and then we want to manipulate the data. We want to search something in this data. We want to update this data. We want to delete the data. So there are a lot of things which are there in a part of the data. Just bring the data from multiple places is going to help me. So now this is what we are saying, that we will collect lot of data. But then there are different things. There are certain scenarios where the data might change. Data might change as well, right? So data does not remain same all the time, right? For example, if today, for example, if I'm let's say X years, if my salary is X INR, my in salary will change. My age changes every year. So let's say if someone is my address changes frequently. My telephone number, I mean, very slow, but my information also changes very frequently. Frequency can be small for few information, and frequency can be very large for some things. For example, my passport number stays same for, I don't know, 15 years, and then but my age changes every year. So frequency for passport number is 15 years, for my age it is 1 year. And let's say um something which changes very frequently, we can also think of like uh, my grocery list, okay, or my expenditure is different every day, right? So today I spent X amount of time, tomorrow I may not expend the same amount of time. Okay, so every data comes with the frequency of change with itself. Okay, so now just getting the data from a source is not the end of the picture. We also have to keep fetching the data from multiple sources so that we know the updated information, right? So let's say I have the information from Facebook, right? So I am saying that I will extract some information from my Facebook account, and then what I will do, I will load it into something in my database, let's say. Okay. And for example, in between, I did some transformation, which we are talking about, right? So this is your ETL pipeline, very simple one. Okay. So now what we can see is that every day a person logs in multiple times into a Facebook. A person adds their friend, a person removes their friend, a person likes a post, a person shares something, shares a photo. So we just do not want to capture the data, we also want to capture the change of the data. There, every data changes with time. Not all the data, of course, but most of the data which we are dealing with, they all change, right? So now, the frequency of change. Let's talk about what changes a data go through. So let's say today you had 15 friends, right? So I captured that data. I captured, okay, in the Facebook you have 15 friends, and then tomorrow, let's say there is one of the friend, you had a fight with your friend, they blocked you on Facebook, or they unfriended you on Facebook, right? So over here I have right now 14 friends in my Facebook. So my Facebook account is saying that you have 14 friends, whereas the data which I have, it says I have 15 friends. So I have to reload this change in the data from my source into my target. Okay, so the change can be some new data arrived, right? This is one frequency of change. So then what I will say, oh, this is not new data. So for example, if it instead of 15, I had 17 new friends. Okay. So here you can see that 2 new friends has been added. So some new data has arrived. Similarly, for example, if I had 15 friends previously, and then one of my friend removed me from the Facebook account, then I can say the data has been removed, right? And then, for example, there are 15 friends, and I also have the information about 15 friends. There could be a possibility that one of my friend changed their name on the Facebook, right? Or they change their relationship status on the Facebook. So here you can see that some of the information statistics, the number of data is same, but something has been updated as well. So we have an update, right? So these are the changes which can happen to your data. Each change has its own frequency, right? So now, when a new data arrives, we say that it is an insert operation. Some new information has been inserted. When the data is deleted, let's say if the data has been deleted, then we say it has been deleted, right? If something is removed. And then finally, when we update the data, I mean, it's just pretty straightforward. It says that something has been updated, although the count of the data is same, but the information within that has been changed, right? For example, yesterday we were having a discussion that yesterday we had a session on LinkedIn, right? So then let's say there is your this is your LinkedIn profile, right? And then LinkedIn, and then we are transforming and then loading the data somewhere. Just loading the data, just extraction, just transformation, and then putting it in one place is not going to help us. We need to capture the new information which is coming. LinkedIn profile, there is a new friend added, there is a new impression which I gave, there is a new person which I messaged, there is a new person who messaged me, there is some new information which is going to happen. And then there could be a post which I deleted. For example, I created a post on the LinkedIn, and then for later on decided to remove that post. Or let's say there is a message which I sent to said that person, and I want to delete that message. I do not want to send that information at all. So there are deletes going on, right? And then there are updates. Let's say I post something on LinkedIn and then I misspelled some word. Then I need to update that information as well. Okay. So, and then this data, so I do not just need to collect the data, I need to collect the changes which are coming with the data. Let's say tomorrow I have a particular temperature. Let's say, oh, where is the temperature? Okay. So here you can see that there is a weather which is going on someplace in Ludhiana. Okay. I don't live here. Okay. So now here we can see that there is a particular temperature range for today. So let's say if I capture this information, do you think that it makes any sense for to just store this information and referring to this information even in December, even in January, even in May? Right? So that is why I need to capture the changes. I need to capture the data as much as possible. And not just that, I also need to make sure that the changes which I am capturing, they are up to date. Everyone on the same page? Are we getting what we are talking about?
Yes, Vipul.
Okay, MJ. Okay, so um, okay, Tamsil, how are you? I think you joined now. Okay. Hi, Tamsil, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah, hi. So are you getting it? Are you all good? So I just want to hear yes from all of you. Okay. So I mean, for my perspective I mean, for my understanding, everyone is awake, right? I just need to check. Okay. Thank you, Meapan. Okay. So now let's move ahead. Okay. So web interfaces for do data. So now we have stored information in the data, and now, oh, sorry, we have stored this data in a database. Okay. So this is going to be your database, not always. So now I mean, I'm not going to okay. There are multiple places or multiple ways in which we can store the data, but right now we are talking about the database. So what I will do, I will fetch that information, I will transform it, and I will save it into something called as database. So the database are going to manage all the data for me. They are going to help me to retrieve this data. So whatever data I have kept, the database is going to help me to manage these changes. So this database will help me manage the inserts, to manage the deletes and doing the updates. I do not have to actually manage the data on my own, because that is a very clumsy process. I need someone to do these things for me. So now this is going to be the help for my database. So the databases are going to be an interface through which I will do all these things, and my database will help me to do these things easier. Okay, so we will come to all these things. Okay, so now it is very quick and easy to find the information. This we have already discussed. This is our goal. So a database is going to help me to achieve these goals as well. So a database will tell me, so there are multiple features in the database which help me to have or to help me achieve these goals. Okay, so databases help me to store this data optimally. If I have bring some data from multiple sources, my database is going to help me to search the data faster. Not just that, it is also going to help me to store the data optimally. It is very easy to add new data and to edit new data. The database is going to save a lot of time. It is going to make my life easier, because after using the database, I can do these things very, very easily. Okay. I mean you will all understand these things. Maybe right now you cannot relate how a database is able to do that. We will be going into deep dive into this session moving forward. Okay, how's okay. Today we are just understanding what a database does and how a database makes our life easier. So here you can see that the data changes on a regular basis, and these are the changes a data can go through, right? And then we can also have multiple simultaneously changes to the data. This is something advanced we will talk in the future as well. So right now, for example, there are multiple people who are working on a database. First thing we have to understand is that we are saying database a lot of time. Then we have to understand multiple people can work on a database at the same time as well. Let's say there is a data which is stored in my database, and I want someone to access this data. Multiple people can access this data in the database so that multiple people can collaborate. Okay, so these are some advanced things. So how the database is able to do that, that we will come to back in the future session. Okay, now you can share huge data set among multiple people. For example, if I have put this data into a database, then I can share this information with multiple people as well. Okay. So now I am not the although I am the sole owner of this data, I can also let other people see this information. Let's say if let's say Mr. A comes to me tomorrow, right? So over here, this is the same scenario. So this is the scenario. I have set up the data, I have placed it somewhere, and everything is stored optimally. And now the desk is now also public, right? So right now, multiple people can come to my desk, they can ask for some information, and I can provide that information to those people. So in this context, there are three things. There is a desk, the desk contains information, and then there is me, who is the owner of the desk, so who knows how to find the information faster, right? So you are the person who knows in which section of the desk what information is stored, right? And then there is another person, let's say my manager. Oh, the manager. There is a manager who comes to me. First of all, let's see what happens. So now it's a very nice day. It's a very nice day. I'm having a cup of nice coffee. And then my manager comes to me and he says he or she says that, hey, did you work on something? Where is the presentation? Okay. And then I will then search for that information in my desk, right? So this is how I am going to, first of all, I will go to my desk. Let's say I am not sitting on my desk. I will go to my desk and I will search for something in my desk. If I want to search better, I need to make sure that my information is well maintained and everything can be searched faster. Then I will get this information from the desk. So I'll now go in the opposite direction. For example, we can use this, for example. Okay, not this one. This is the upper arrow. Okay, so copy paste. Okay, so this is the first thing which we are talking about. So this is the very first thing. My manager came to me. He asked for some information. I went to the desk. I searched for that information. And then now what will happen is that I will first of all find that data into my desk, right? Now, this is step one. This is step two. And then I will have to search something in the desk. And then I will bring that paper. First of all, I will search that paper, step number three, and then I will give that paper to my manager. Okay. So this is where what you can see is that in this scenario, this manager is you. And then, okay, I'll mention it down as well. So let me just take all this into these things. And then, so now, first of all, we have seen that how the things work in a real life. We all know these things, right? So let's say if tomorrow you have this in your room, you have like in your room you have a lot of things, right? So you can say that your wife is managing everything. So your wife has put everything in place, everything is sorted, your room is clean, and everything is in nice manner, everything is fine, everything is managed, your car keys are in place, your clothes are ironed, they are in place, everything is well managed. Okay. And then every morning, this is you. So you will come from the work, or you are getting ready in the early morning. So let's say it's 7:17. You are getting ready. Then you go to your wife or your partner or spouse, whatever word you want to have. You can say spouse. You went to your spouse and you told, okay, where is my watch? Where is my handkerchief? You might have seen in multiple movies as well that the hero forgets a lot of things. And then the spouse will remind him first of all, oh, you forgot your watch, you forgot your luggage, or a lot of things. Okay. So now, for example, then this is going to be your room. Oh, sorry, room. Okay. So then in this case, you are going to ask a lot of information with your spouse. Your spouse is going to find that information in some place. She will first of all gather that thing. Let's say if you have asked for a watch, first of all, your spouse will go to the room and then we'll go to that desk or that table or bed, wherever that watch is. She will go there, she will fetch the data, she will make sure that everything she is fetching is right, and then she will take that information, come back to you, and then she will handle over that thing to you. Okay. So these are the four steps which we usually do. Okay. Then in the databases as well, you are going to ask a lot of information. So now this is your data. So you have a lot of data being stored somewhere, and then your database is the person who is doing all the hard work for you. So now your database is managing your data. It is going to find the information for you. It is going to update the information for you. For example, if we come to the real life example, let's say you already have a lot of information in your room, right? And now let's say you brought a new necklace for your wife, right? For your spouse. So you will give your spouse, okay, there is a new thing which you have just bought for you, for her. Okay. So it is an insert. So you will give that information to your spouse. Then your spouse will keep it in a locker in the room. Okay. And let's say if you want to have something from your spouse, let's say if you want something from the home, You are saying that, okay, there was some cash which I kept yesterday. Can you give me? Okay, then your wife or your partner will go here to the room, will get that information, and then will take that information, will remove that thing from that place, and then will give it to you. And then you take that money out of your house. In this case, the money has been deleted from the room or from the house because it no longer exists over here. And then let's say there is an update. Let's say you are two people living in the home, and then now you two, let's say, in the update, you can say that in place of two, let's say there is one more item which you have provided. For example, previously you had a fridge, right? So in a room you had a fridge, and today you brought a new fridge, right? So here you can see that first of all, this is not insert, there is an update to something. For example, let's say not a new fridge. So you had a fridge and you brought ice containers for your fridge. Or let's say you brought a new let's say new basket for your fridge, or you brought let's say anything, any cover for your fridge. Okay. So in this case, your data is going to be updated. Okay. So now these things, you are still you. So you ask questions, you want the data, you want new things to be put in the room, you need the information to be fetched from your room, you need information to be deleted, and then the date in this case, the database is going to be someone who is going to help you manage your data. Okay. So now what we have just done is that we knew these concepts. Now we have just applied these concepts to the database, to the data engineer. So a data engineer talks out in the terms of data. So here now you can say, this is now your real life. Here, oh, sorry, my typing, I am not able to find the words. The lighting is very dim over here. Why? Okay. And then this is how a data engineer talks about. A data engineer wants a database so that they can do different things with the data. Okay. Okay. Then we so over here, the last thing as well, we will also cover this as well. So you can share huge data set among multiple people. So you have so let's say if in a fridge you have a lot of room, anyone can, so not anyone, let's say you have your relatives come over to your place. Your relatives can also see, oh, there is a fridge, nice fridge, and then they will open this fridge. They can drink water from your fridge as long as the person is authorized to enter your home. They can also use the things which are in your house. Agree? So as long as someone is in your room, so you do not let anyone to enter your room. Like you have a main gate, right? So you have a main gate. So through a main gate, everyone will have to give their identity. And then once everyone is in the main gate, once anyone enters the home, then they can use this room as well. They can use multiple things. They can they can also use or share the items in your home. Right? So now similar things happen with the databases as well. In the databases, we will see what these are, but every database also comes with the main gate. Not just anyone get this data. We will see how we can let someone do that. But then once someone enters the database, they have access to all the data which is in that database, and then they can also read the data. They can also insert the data. They can also delete the data. They can also update the data. Okay. So you can share the data among multiple people as well. So now the point comes, why SQL? Why it is required? Okay. So now let's say so now you had a new friend coming over, and then that friend is not your native, and that person is coming let's say from a different place. Okay, you have a Nigerian friend. Okay, so one of no Nigerian friend comes over to your home, and then that person wants water. That person is allowed to enter because he or she knows you, so that person is allowed to enter your home. So now that person inside of the home. Now that person will then what you will say, okay, friend, be comfortable here. If you need anything, just ask my spouse. Okay. Now, what this Nigerian friend will come, that Nigerian friend, let's say, does not speaks, let's say, of course, they will be able to speak their native language, Nigerian, and this person knows English, okay, knows two languages, okay, but your wife does not understand English. Then your Nigerian friend wants water, or let's say wants a specific thing from your room or towel, let's say, for example. That friend will come to your wife and then will speak in English. Hey, can you please give me the towel? I want to go for bath. Now, your spouse does not know English. Your spouse knows French, for example. She is very interested to go to France. She read French, but she never cared about learning English, right? That's fine. Okay, she had her own preferences. And then this person is trying to talk to her, and then this friend is not able to get the data. Can someone tell me why? Okay. Okay, I'll tell you. So now what is happening is that to get the information or to get the items, that person does not know, my Nigerian friend does not know the right language to how to get the information or how to talk to the spouse to get that information, right? Yeah, issue in communication. Yes, Meyapan, very good. Thank you so much. So now, just like this, we also have a language to talk to a database. A database just cannot speak some language. I cannot just go to my database and say, okay, I want data from this table. I do not talk to database in that way. A database has a language in which it is able to communicate with me. So to do these things, I need something called as SQL. So now let us first of all look at the three items or the three things which this SQL has. So this SQL stands for structured, structured, and then query, and then language. A language. Okay. So this is the full form of your SQL. Previously it was some other thing. So now, but we will talk about this in a moment. But that doesn't make any sense right now. So now this is the full form of SQL: structured, query, and then language. Okay. Now, not just SQL, English, let's say. It also is a structured query language. I was using English, so let's say my for my spouse, anything. French is also an SQL. Every language has a structure. Let's say if I want something, so for example, I will in okay. So now let's say if I want to have something, some information, so there is a structure to every language, right? So let's say if I want to ask someone, how was your day? I will have to ask that information in a specific structure. Hi, how was your day? Okay. I cannot ask you this information is your day. So this, I mean, if I ask someone something like this, your day, does it make any sense? Right? So now every language which we talk has a specific structure in which it has to be said for a person to understand. Similarly, in the SQL, S stands for structured, meaning that the language the database understand, it has to be in a specific structure. We cannot just write anything over here. Just like over here, your day was how? I mean, how was? Something like that. Nobody, I mean, maybe some people can understand you're joking, okay. Oh, can make some guesses, okay. Oh, this is what you wanted to say, but this is not how your database works. Your database does not have an intuition to understand things, right? So that is why you have to ask for an information in a specific structure. And then query. Query, why query? Because we are asking for things. So we are asking for data. We are asking for a data to be inserted. We are asking for a data to be deleted. So here you were asking previously, you were asking your spouse for different, you were sending some queries. Queries, for example, where is this? Where is that? How much is left? For example, you will come to your spouse. So let's say you ask them how much of rice is left in the house. So your spouse will go to the kitchen. He or she will then go to your kitchen, that area where this rice is stored, and then they will subconsciously measure that information. Okay, for example, the rice is left for one more day. Then she will come back to you. She will come back with the information, and then we'll tell you that, okay, we have rice left for one more day, or vegetables, for example. Okay. These all things we also want to understand from the data. We are going to query things. We want to understand what is going on in the database, what this data actually means. Okay. And then the last part is language. So it is also a language, just like English, just like French, just like Tamil, just like Hindi, Sanskrit. This is also a language. Okay. So now let us come back. So SQL stands for Structured Query Language. And then, as we have seen, SQL is used to communicate with the database. This is a language using which you can talk to your database. Now, let's look at the third point slowly. So SQL statements are used to perform tasks such as update on a data or to retrieve data from the database. Okay. This we had seen. For example, the first question I asked my spouse is that how much, for example, how much, uh, for example, how much rice is left in the kitchen. This is one query. And then for this query, every query I will have an output. Then, for example, my spouse will go to kitchen and then will check the kitchen area compartment where the rice is there. And then that answer will be then sent to me that one day of rice is left. Similarly, then next day what I will do, I will bring new rice. I will bring, let's say, 10 kg of rice for my home. And then I will tell my spouse, I have bought, okay, okay, or bought or brought, doesn't make difference over here. So I have bought 10 kg of rice. Please keep it in the respective area. I do not know, and I do not even have to know where the rice is kept, as long as I can get help from my spouse, right? So over here, now what my spouse will do, they will take the information or the new data. So this is an insert, right? So new data has been inserted, and that she will update that data or that information in the that specific compartment. Okay. So now I can ask for the updated of the data. So here you can see that I can ask my database to insert some data. I can ask my database to delete some data. I can ask my data to update the data. So now it will help me to perform the task such as update data on a database or to retrieve the data from a database. Now let us look at some of the common databases. So now let's say every company now comes up with some databases, right? And now you as a data engineer, it is going to be very difficult for you to learn different database language. For example, let's say Microsoft SQL says that, okay, this is how you are going to talk to the database. And then Oracle say that, okay, there is a different way to talk to my databases. Now let's say, and MySQL company comes that, okay, they say that, okay, no, you need to learn another language to talk to my database. So this was going to be a lot of problem, because if every data has a different language to talk to them, to interact to them, that as a data engineer, our life is going to be a hell. Today, if I'm working in my MS SQL, I will have to learn a new language to talk to my Oracle. And then if I want to work in MySQL, it is going to be very difficult to talk to MySQL. So this is where something called as NSI SQL standard helped me. There is something called as NSI SQL. This NSI stands for American National Standard Institute, not a context of this course. So now what NSI standard said to all the database provider is that you have to use this specific format to talk to your database, so that all these different databases which are out there in the market, there have to be a specific standards to talk to them. Every database should know at least this language, so that if I'm working in MS SQL, there are some languages or there are some queries which I can also send to Oracle to manipulate. I can also use the same queries to talk to MySQL. I do not have to learn the new SQL language all the time. So here, what we will see is that, so that is what you can say, even if you learn one database, even if you know how to talk to one database, your life is going to be very, very easy if there is an SI SQL standard associated to that. And there is also something called as RDBMS. We will talk about them in depth tomorrow. And then over here, these are relational database management systems. These systems will help you to talk to the database. Okay. This, I just wanted to just write it over here for the sake of the continuity of tomorrow's session. So over here, now we will see that there are some RDBMSs. MS SQL is in RDBMS. So you can say that there are different DBMSs, which we will talk about. Oracle is also RDBMS. MySQL is also RDBMS. All these RDBMSs have a common standard language called as SQL. You can, if you know how to work in one database, you can also work in any other RDBMS using the same query language which you have learned, right? So now some common database management system that use SQL are Oracle, Sybase, Microsoft SQL Server. We have SAP HANA database. We have Teradata. I mean, the list is very huge. Okay. So from here, you can now realize how important it is for us to know SQL language. If you know SQL language, you can kind of 90%, you can work in any database. Every database which is out there in the market, you can talk to any database. You can manipulate, you can insert data in any database. You can delete data in any database. You can update data in any database. So that is why as a data engineer, if you are inclined to this, if you like it, then you need to know SQL if you want to be like irreplaceable in your job, right? I mean, it is not the end of the world, which I was saying in the beginning. There are people who do not know SQL and they are doing fine. But for the holistic approach, if you want to play around with every type of data, if you want to be an unbeatable person who can work in multiple things, then understanding SQL is very, very important. Okay. So now this we will talk about. Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about today. So everyone comfortable? Sorry, I had a question which was like file storage and all these things. So sorry for that. So we, because I'm going so that everyone can understand. So all these things we will see tomorrow. Okay. So but one spoiler which I want to tell you right now is that even if you're talking about databases, somewhere in your file storage, the data is being stored as a file. Everything is a file, right? So this is one spoiler which I want to give. Okay. So any questions? Are we all good? Are we getting what we are talking about?
Yes, people. I have two questions.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Um, See, if you can list it out, what sort of roles that we can apply after
Uh-huh.
learning this course, and in
Okay.
SQL, like what sort of topics that we are going to cover.
Okay. So your second answer first. So this is what we are going to cover. So we are going to first of all have, so then over here as a part of this course we are going to talk about MySQL database. Okay, so this is very versatile and this is being used by multiple vendors. So we will learn about MySQL, but don't get disheartened if you are looking for another database. If you understand MySQL, how to talk to MySQL, you can also talk to Oracle. You can also talk to your Microsoft SQL as well. Okay. So we will see the introduction and then we will see how we will install the MySQL, and then we will talk about the workbench, what are the different schemas, what are the different, these are your data warehouse concepts, okay? Then we will see CRUD operation. So this stands for your CRUD. This is create, update, delete, insert. So we will come back to that. And then we will see what all are the different data types we have. And then the function and procedures, joins, unions, multiple window functions, how you group by, what are subqueries, and backup and recovery. In addition to that, we will also see how you can optimally store your information. There is something called as indexes. So we will also see what are indexes. So this is, it is missing in this list. Okay. Okay. And your first question now. So now, as a data engineer, we are going through these things. Okay. So now let me open one of the website. So I showed this in the last session as well. So this question comes up a lot of times. Okay. So now because we are doing multiple things. Because we are doing multiple things, so you can go for multiple kind of skill sets. Okay. So one thing, if I go one by one, what you can see over here is that we can go for either as a Snowflake job roles. Okay. So if you know Snowflake, you can go for these different skill sets. You can go for a Snowflake, you can go for Snowflake developer, Snowflake data engineer, you can go for a Snowflake SQL or Snowflake database, just Snowflake database. Okay. If you go to AWS, for example, you can go for a AWS cloud engineer, or you can also go for AWS node solution architect. Okay. More of we are focusing on AWS cloud engineer or AWS data engineer. There is nothing mentioned over here. Let me mention it over here. Data engineer. Okay. 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 There is nothing like that. Okay. So you can go for AWS. Which one was that? You can go for AWS solution architects because you can design the data pipelines, and then you can also go for AWS cloud engineer as well. Okay. And then you can also just look for a DBT. So here you can, oh, there is nothing, just a DBT. So this DBT kind of sometimes come with Snowflake data warehouse. And then you have Python as well. You can go for Python developer, or you can also go for Python data engineer. Yeah, this one. Okay. So you can also apply for Python data analytics because we are going to cover a lot of concepts in the Python aspect, which we can do how you can analyze the data using Python. Okay. So these are the major role which we are going to cover. Okay. So now, so this is again the same thing. If you are interested in Python, you can also go for Python data analytics. For that, you do not have to go into some other things. So based on your choice, so let's say if after this course you think that, okay, I liked Python, then you can go into this site. For example, if you say, okay, I liked AWS more, that is very interesting. I really like, I mean, that is, I mean, it clicks. Okay. So that way you can also go. So there are multiple roles which you can actually go for after this course. Okay. I mean, is it all good?
Yes, Putu.
Okay. So now from tomorrow, we will then deep dive into SQL, how the data is actually stored in the database, right? So today we understood what is SQL, what is database, what database helps us to do. But from tomorrow, we will see what and hows. Okay. So today we saw what, but tomorrow we will see how. Okay. So from tomorrow, you will actually understand how your data actually stores this information. Yes,
Vipul,
Mohan.
I have a question. So,
Sure, sure.
so the last point when we were discussing, right? So, you were
Yes,
saying
sir.
that even every database stores the data in form of files, right?
Right. That is,
So,
yeah, that is internals.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your
S-
operating system stores everything in terms of files.
True, true. Are you talking about the Oracle DBA files or else, is there
No, no, no,
something?
that is generic, your operating system files. That file
Mhm.
system which your operating system is having.
So, I was curious to know why doesn't MongoDB or Cassandra store this sort of things in files?
Oh, yeah, I mean, they are some different things. When we will come to big data,
Mhm.
then you will see that they actually use different concepts. They are not your SQL databases. They do not have this NSI SQL. They are not RDBMSs. They
True,
are
yeah.
used for your big data. Okay, so in that sense, we are not just storing information in tables. We are storing data in files. Okay, so that is a different thing.
Mhm.
Okay, so that is why I didn't want
Got
it to
it.
go into that direction. Okay.
Got it. Got it.
So
Thank
when
you.
you talk about Spark, you have a file, your file is segregated and across. So that is a different concept. Okay.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, then thank you so much for joining. Have a great day. Let's connect tomorrow, same time, and deep dive into what
Thank
we
you,
have
Putu.
already discussed about. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.